tape those right there on there. I said, we'll have to tape them right there on the back. Yeah.
All right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. Ms. Bain, would you please note the time and attendance?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Places, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there anybody in the audience to do our invocation tonight? Would you like to do it, Ms. Detting? Okay. Thank you.
Father, we just give you praise. We thank you so much. We thank you for getting us through this time that we've been going through, not only just the COVID, but the election and all the decisions that has to be made. We pray for each and every one of the school board members here, Father. Give them the wisdom, knowledge, understanding, and discernment that they need to make all the right decisions for the students here at Craig County, for the teachers and the staff. We ask that you be with them, protect them, guard them, and guide them. Be with them in all the things that they have to do, Father God. Give them the strength to go through this as they go through the unwavering decisions through the COVID and teaching and all the new things that they have to do. We give you praise for it and we thank you. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, adoption of the agenda. Are there any requests for changes to the agenda tonight? Okay, hearing none, we need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion. We approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay. All right. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Hearing of citizens and delegations. Are there any individuals wishing to address the board, Ms. Spain?
Yes, ma'am. Miss Donna DePlazes.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Donna DePlazes, and my address is 9118 Cumberland Gap Road, Newcastle, Virginia. So I would just like to start off my comments tonight with greatly thanking the administration and the board members for providing stipends to all of the employees of Craig County Public Schools. Kind of looking forward to my check in a couple of weeks, so it's a super nice gesture when there are many of us who are logging more hours than we ever have. I'm lucky if I see bed at midnight, many nights. And we're bringing home less money than we did last year because we didn't get the step increase. So the timing is also extremely nice because we have some major holidays just around the corner, so it is greatly appreciated. But there's always a but, right? So but, unfortunately, it is simply not enough. Stipends are nice, but have no lasting effect on our salaries, retirement, and other things. Our school system lags behind surrounding divisions in pay. Our starting pay for teachers with no experience is shameful. We need to fix our pay scale from the bottom up. We need to make steps every year a priority in the budget. How can we expect to attract and retain highly qualified teachers if salaries are not prioritized? I realize that the list of things to prioritize is long, and how to order them is difficult. I also have trouble understanding why salaries are always the first cut. Shouldn't there be a rotation? Let something else take something one year? Seems like every time we need to cut, it always comes out of our teachers. And being the kind souls that we are, we don't do this job for the money, but when we bring home less than we did last year and insurance goes up, there's only so much we can do. So, there's this saying that says, there's always money found when it's needed. So I'm asking the board to please emphasize salaries during the upcoming budget process because they are needed. Virginia recently won a not-so-great distinction as having the highest teacher pay gap in the nation. Teachers in Virginia are making 32.7% less than other comparable college-educated workers. Guys, that's a lot. So it is no wonder that the number of teachers to fill vacancies is dropping. College students are majoring in something that will allow them to be able to pay back their college loans and support their families without having to work 2 or 3 jobs. So, I know that Craig County can't fix the whole state of Virginia, but you definitely could start here with your employees. I said a statement last February during our public budget hearing. It says we need a 3 to 5% raise just to keep up. Without getting the step last year, we truly need 5%. So I know it's early, but I'm just going ahead and throwing this out there. I'm really asking the board to consider 2 steps of experience, one for last year and one for this year, and an 2%. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, Mr. Places. Any other individuals wishing to address the board?
No, ma'am, not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Okay, item 4, superintendent report. 4.1, update on McCleary Playground Project. Ms. Van Dyke.
Thank you. Yeah, Ms. Van Dyke, if you'll come forward and share where we are and the times that and dates. Perfect.
As you guys can see, this is a rendering of our playground. So this is our big playground. I do not have the smaller playground, but we are very excited to be getting that. The kids have been looking at it and they're excited as well. It's in the front office. So originally, when we talked to you guys last month, we had talked about the playground hopefully getting installed end of this week, the beginning of next. However, when I talked to Mary Ann with the West Virginia Playground Builders, that was based on their availability, but the playground has not been shipped yet. So, and it's in a factory in Alabama. So our next new tentative date is December 10th through the 13th. And that's for the equipment to be on site. And everything should be finished by December 13th. So that is the new information I have as of today. Any questions?
Thank you,
Mr.
Ms. Van Dyke.
Okay, item 4.2, Craig County Educational Foundation.
Yeah, I wanted to let the board know that the division has established the Craig County Educational Foundation. And the purpose of this corporation is to support and enhance additional opportunities to students enrolled in Craig County Public Schools. We have applied for tax exempt status. Once we have that, we will be establishing an account. And this allows for donors, especially donors that have their own corporations, to be able to donate into this fund. And then the board of directors will determine how those funds are used. So I just wanted to get the information out there. Once we've gone through all of the process and the paperwork, then we'll be creating a place on the website, letting people know, because many times we do get inquiries about wanting to make donations. And this allows anybody from the community to donate any amount straight into our foundation. So that's just for information only.
Any questions or comments from the board? No. Okay. Under new business, 5.1, the 2021-22 and 2022-23 school calendar.
Yeah, we wanted to go ahead and bring this to the board tonight for informational purposes. we won't be making any votes until next month. We've sent it out to staff at the same time the board packet was made available, and I'm asking principals to gather data from the staff about their preferences, and I'm going to let Mr. Foster just do a brief rundown of the difference in the two proposals.
Okay, just real quick, when we're preparing the calendars, we have some goals that we have in that we've established in how we prepare the calendar. One of those is that we want a teacher work day at the end of each quarter. We always try to do a 3-day holiday at Thanksgiving. We would like the end of semester 1 to occur before Christmas break. We look at 2 full weeks of Christmas holiday. We have Good Friday and Monday, Easter Monday as holidays, and then we look for the rest of that week to be spring break. We do establish those as possible makeup days. And then we look at having the last day of school before Memorial Day. And also in preparing these calendars, we were trying to make them as close to the calendars that had been approved for the 2019-2020 school year and the original calendar that we approved for the 2020-2021 school year. So those were the things that went into preparing this calendar. Just to quickly summarize where we started at the beginning. So the original calendar that we established in March of this year, we had a start date of August 11th, semester 1 ended December the 18th, and then May the 28th we graduated. We updated that calendar based on the pandemic and needing to allow for teachers to have additional work days and so forth. And so when that occurred, the start date went to August the 24th, which is a 2-week change. January 15th became semester 1, and then we graduate on June the 11th. So that's a 2-week adjustment just with the calendar that we had approved for this year. So that takes us into what do we do next year. So we went through and looked at at some different options, and we've presented a couple options to the teachers and to the administration and to the board. And let me just quickly do that. So in option 1, what we're trying to do is a slow return to the original start date of August the 9th, which is, imagine it as the second week of August is what we're shooting for. And so in year 1, which would be the 21-22 school year, we start on August the 17th. And then in year 2, 22-23, we would start on August the 9th. January the 11th would be our semester 1 start date. And then the next year, December the 16th, we'd graduate on June the 3rd, which is after Memorial Day in year 1, and then May the 26th, which is before Memorial Day in year 2. That particular option gives you 8 weeks of summer for both years. Option number 2, I call it rip the Band-Aid off. We immediately go to returning to the second week in August, so the start date would be August the 10th. We would have semester 1 ending December 17th, graduate on May the 27th. The difference is that we have 7 weeks of summer in the year 1, so between this year and next, but then we get 9 weeks after that. So you still get all your weeks, it's just it's how you divide them up. So those are the two options. We have already sent them out to the staff to get comments back to see if whether they have a preference or any changes that they would like to make to the calendar. If there are changes that come back, for example, last year we had a request to add a work day after each quarter. We then adjusted it and sent it back out. So if we have something like that, we will adjust the calendar, send it back out. Otherwise, what we will do is present to you one of these options, either option 1 or option 2, for a final vote on at the December school board meeting, so that we can go ahead and get this out. Everybody knows when we're starting and where we can move on. We're also kind of approaching it from a 2-year kind of looking at it over two calendar years. But as always, the school board reserves the right to make changes to calendars anyway. So it just kind of sets, we kind of know in advance of when everything's going to be. Are there any questions about the calendar? I do not have the Botetourt calendar yet. Most likely option 2 would be more aligned to that. In discussions with Ms. Warwick, our feeling is that we need to do what's best for Craig County first, and then we can make adjustments and work with Botetourt. They're always good to work with, and we are trying to realign the calendars anyway. So whichever option we go with, we will be able to work with Botetourt and make everything work. Okay, you want me to go to the next one?
Yeah. The next item is winter athletics. We've prepared a handbook. It's still in draft form right now because we're still waiting on final changes and regulations from the Pioneer District. I also shared a summary of VHSL and also Renwick Times article. And Mr. Foster and Mrs. Whiting spent a great deal of time yesterday in 2 meetings. One was the Pioneer District, and then one was a superintendent's work group. We're trying to be as much on the same page with those that we play. So what we're going to do tonight, the handbook has a lot of information in it, and it actually goes into all the sports where you can see what football is going to look like. But right up on us, of course, is basketball season. So I've asked Mr. Foster just to prepare a brief summary for you as to what we are proposing for basketball this year.
So on October the 30th, the VHSL released their recommendations and guidelines. So all of this has happened very quickly. We have not had a lot of time to really have discussions with the districts, discussions with you, discussions with anybody in preparing this. So this came about in a very rapid form. So what I've done is I've just given you a little bit of information. So we always talk about academic goals. We also have pandemic goals, and right now the 2 goals that we have is that we want to keep students and staff safe, and we want to keep schools open for academics. That's, in terms of the pandemic, that's what we want to do, and everything that we do revolves around those 2 goals so that we can keep students in school and we can keep educating. The VHSL essentially has 2 goals. One, keep students and players, staff safe, keep everybody safe. And then they're going to provide guidelines on how do we do that within each of the different sporting activities. And so those are their goals. So the things that we've done so far to help prevent the transmission of the virus in schools, first of all, we're operating in a bubble in the sense that we have reduced and or eliminated all travel. We do not allow visitors into the building during the school day, and we're conducting virtual meetings as much as possible. So we're trying to do all of those things. We've also instituted mitigation strategies. We're wearing face coverings, we're social distancing, we're promoting hygiene, we're having additional cleaning procedures, and for the most part, we have students staying together in what we're calling educational pods. So they're in a homeroom and they stay with that homeroom. So we're not mixing students up throughout the day in general throughout the building. So that's what we're doing. Athletics is going to change this a little bit in that we're not going to be in a bubble anymore. We're going to have teams traveling here. We're going to be going to other communities where they may or may not have substantial transmission of the virus. Athletes can't maintain social distancing. You're playing basketball, you can't play 6 feet apart. And then right now, spectators, if we have spectators coming in the building, that's technically a violation of our guidelines of letting visitors into the building. So those are things that we have to address and we have to think about. The VHSL has some key mitigation strategies that they've placed into their guidance and guidelines. 6-foot social distancing, that's on the locker rooms, that's benches, that's on the bleachers, that's scorekeepers, clock keepers. Everybody needs to maintain 6-foot social distancing when possible. If you're not participating, so if you're a non-participating athlete, if you're a coach, if you're an administrator, if you're a spectator, you must wear a face covering. That's a VHSL regulation. We have to follow that. Additional cleaning measures for equipment, locker rooms, and other facilities are going to have to be imposed. And then there are specific rules that were changed within each of the sports, such as handshaking or team meetings and things like that to help reduce the spread of the virus. So this is what we're proposing, and I've boiled down our handbook into these 6 parts. Number 1, we're going to maintain 6-foot social distancing. 2, we're going to limit spectators. What we're doing is reducing gym capacity. We're going to limit it to family members only, and we're not going to allow any visiting fans. The visiting fans rule is consistent with all the other schools in our district, in our region. They're not allowing visiting fans to come to their facilities. So they're proposing the same thing that we're proposing. Face coverings are to be worn by non-competing athletes, coaches, administrators, spectators. We're not going to sell any concessions. We're going to have to do health and temperature screenings for all participants, coaches, and spectators. Athletes have to do that before they can play. They have to do that before they get on the bus. And then we'll do that as people come in the building. And then we're going to follow all of the VDH, CDC, and VHSL guidelines and recommendations. And that's it in a nutshell. And then the last thing is, so those are our steps. Those are the things we're going to do. One of the things that we're going to do also is we're going to determine when do we play a game. So if we had a game this week with Covington, how would we decide if we were going to actually play Covington or not? The region, meaning Region 6, the superintendent's Region 6, has come up with a kind of a flow chart to determine when we play. So the first thing we would do is use, we would go to the VDH website. We would look at the regional transmission rates, and we're in this health region, and it says that we're high burden, we're at substantial community transmission, and we're increasing. So based off of that, we would be very cautious in terms of whether we even travel to another school division to play. The second piece that we would look at is the school metric, and in that one, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the schools, or the school that we would be playing. So I mentioned Covington, so we'd go to Covington. And then when we look at Covington and we look at their core indicators, they're in the red. So based off of those 2 metrics, we would not travel to Covington, and Covington would not come here, and the game would not be played. It's very transparent. Anybody can go and look at the metrics. It's a very clear way of looking, of establishing, and it's based off of the data that's available. This data is updated every day, but we would pretty much look at it for a week at a time in essence, but we could look at it on a daily basis. Then the next thing we would do is we would look at any extenuating circumstances. So let's say that we're playing Covington. Covington's in the red. But the only reason Covington is in red is because of one, long-term health, a retirement community. That's the only place that they're having problems. It's not in the community overall, but just in that one place. We could look at that, and then in consultation with the health department might say, that's the only place that you're having it. We're not really seeing widespread transmission in the community, and in that case, we could decide that we might go and play Covington on that game. We would also look at school-specific outbreaks. There are some counties that we may play that have multiple schools. I'll use Roanoke County just because it's easy for me. Roanoke County has 5 high schools. Northside High School may not have any cases, while Cave Spring has a bunch of cases. If we were playing Northside, we might decide we could play there. If we were playing Cave Spring, we might decide it's not a good idea to go to Cave Spring. So we'd have multiple ways of looking at the data that's available to us. We would consult the health department, and then the superintendent would decide on gameplay, similar to the way that we decide on weather-related decisions. And then this model is based on ongoing regional discussions. We had a meeting yesterday to discuss it. The superintendents will be meeting tomorrow to discuss it again. It may or may not change. If it changes, we will certainly update everybody and let them know the direction that it's going. But at this particular time, it appears that that would be the direction that we would go. And then, of course, all of this is subject to change. Come March, who knows? We may be looking at this in a totally different way. But based on what information we have and based on the guidelines from the VDH, this is the best approach to help reduce the spread and to keep it out of our schools and to keep our schools open. Are there any questions?
Yeah, so like if they're automatically in the red,
Mm-hmm.
so you will still discuss with their superintendent, or is that if it's a red, it's an automatic, we're not playing? Especially when we're having drive-through asymptomatic scenarios happen in different counties, like for numbers. Like I just feel like sports is important for our kids, mentally, physically. In the long run, if we cut all this out, especially when we're told by data, those are numbers, but those are also probably not 0 to 17-year-old kids that are pinging those numbers. I mean, I get we have to go by guidelines, but at some point, it just like if you're in the red, which you're probably going to be in the red a lot because our numbers are increasing because we're testing excessively. So a lot of those positive cases are not children. And that I get that we have to follow the rules, but if it's an automatic red zone, is that just going to be we're not going to play, or is there going to be discussion on?
No,
we will be discussing, just like Sam said. If the numbers in Salem are because of Richfield, and they know where those cases are, then that's not going to affect our kids. So no, it will not be automatic.
I just feel like December and January we're going to be in the red probably a lot, and it's not going to be kids that are positive. It's going to be people that are 50 and older that are positive, and we're going to cancel our kids' sports for like people that don't. I mean, they don't. It's known. We know that they're pretty much asymptomatic to this, and we're going to cancel things for. I'm sorry. I'm very sports driven. Everybody knows I'm sports driven. It's very important for these kids to play sports. It helps them mentally. It helps them, and I could name 30 physical reasons to play sports. And I know that we have to keep our kids safe, but knowing the data for our kids, 0 to 17, a lot of these kids don't even show symptoms. And we're going to have them totally inactive for almost 2 seasons. And in turn, it's going to cause long-term effects. Long-term effects like obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, depression, anxiety. I mean, I'm just...
Well, and
this touches close to my heart because kids need sports.
Well, and it's just not the kids, though. You've got your coaches, and you have your administrators, and you have the other people that are in the building.
We're also implementing massive amounts of rules as far as social distancing and masking and cleaning. I mean, we can't do any more. We're going to do it next year, too, because next year we're going to be in the same scenario. I mean, are we going to keep shutting down sports and changing our kids' lives over a disease that they're totally somewhat asymptomatic to? I'm sorry, I just want to see our kids play sports in a safe manner, and I think that there are lots of rules there, and I feel like we can do it safely. And I feel like if it is in the red, we need to really discuss per each, not just cancel it automatically because there's 200 cases in Covington,
Right. And that's not the intent.
Okay.
But one thing everybody needs to understand is that one of the things that I said was that we would not be operating in a bubble. So while we may want to play, Covington may not want to play. Or Covington may not want us to come, or they may not want to come here, or by any other school division. So we're trying to come up with something that 8 different school divisions and 6 different schools can agree on in order to try to get a season in place. And everybody has their own ideas and their own thinking about this. Some are more conservative than we are, and some are less conservative. And so to try to bring all the groups together and work together so that we can play, we're going to have to we had to have something. And so it does not in any way eliminate, it's not an automatic, it's simply a point of discussion and a way to proceed with the information so that we can make informed decisions.
Yeah, and we will make the decisions much like an inclement weather day. If Covington is having icing and bad weather, then I have to talk to the superintendent, and we have to make decisions about, is it safe, for our buses to travel? Is it safe? So it's not the same, but it's similar. We have to take into account the whole picture, not just going by a flow chart. That gives us a place to start talking. But
And a school division near us has gone virtual. So if we were playing basketball right now, we wouldn't be able to play them anyway. So those are some things that we would have to, there's a lot of factors that are out of our control, and all we can do is make things the best we can for our players. And that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you, Mr. Foster. Any other discussion? Okay. Hearing none, we have no unfinished business. Consent agenda, things listed on our consent agenda, we have approval of the minutes for October 13th, approval of warrants, approval of payroll, monthly financial report, and personnel report. So would we like to approve the consent agenda as a whole? If so, I need a motion.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as a whole.
Okay. Do you hear a second? Okay, thank you. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Opposed? Okay. Motion carries. Okay, we have no closed session or actions resulting from closed session. Board comments, any updates that you'd like to see on next month's agenda? Okay, is everybody signed up for VSBA that wants to go? That wants to attend virtually?
Was that Educational Foundation? Was that part of that? I thought that was part of that.
It is, but it was a different time.
Oh.
But it's recorded.
Yeah, it was good.
So yeah. So the virtual pretty much if you want to, let Sonia know, like ASAP. Okay. Of course, Thanksgiving break, I put that on there. And we've started doing a holiday staff appreciation luncheon every year. Just so you all know, because I know many of you have come and like to come help. It's Friday, December 11th from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. So I just wanted to go ahead and put that on your radar. If any of you are available, we'd love having you come and help.
What were the hours for that again?
11 a.m. to 12:30.
Okay, 11 to 12:30. Okay, gotcha. Okay, with no further business, the meeting is adjourned.